This is Gemara Baba Kama Daf Beis, and we embark, Baruch Hashem, on both a new Masechta, a new Seder, the beauty of Daf. You finish one, and you just continue plugging forwards. B'siyata Dishmaya. The learning of today's shir has been generously sponsored as an incredible schos aliyas. The learning for today has been sponsored as an incredible schos refuah shalema for Yoel ben Frumit Aliza B'siyata Dishmaya, the incredible Koyach HaTorah, a renewed, vigorous Koyach HaTorah, as you begin a Masechta, should bring Yoel ben Frumit Aliza a complete Refuah Shalema. And we begin Baba Kama Daf Beis Amud Aleph, perhaps one of the most learned Mishnayis and Dafim in all of Shas. Baba Kama being a hallmark in the yeshiva system. And we begin. Arba avois nizikin. There are four avois, fathers, primary principal damagers. Rashi already spells out that what's an av, that which the pasuk says explicitly, which we'll get to. Perhaps a little bit of an incredible siyata d'shemaya to begin the avois. As in the parsha, we have the first av of Ram Avinu. So what is an av? Arba avois nizikin. Says the Mishnah, what are the four primary principal damagers? Hashar and ox, habara pit, vehamave. What is mave? We will see. Rashi says, stay tuned for tomorrow's daf. Ve'ahever, and a fire. So four principal damagers: shar, bar, mave, and hever. Mave we could basically call Adam Hamazik, but let's get there. For now, we'll call it the ox, the pit, the Mave, and the Hever, and the Eish, and the fire. Says the Mishnah on the second line, Lo Yarei Hashar, Karei HaMave, V'lo Yarei HaMave, Karei Hashar. The Mave and the Shar, the Mave, we don't really know what it is yet. But says the Mishnah, the two are not similar to each other. And this and that in the Mishnah that has Ruach Chaim, particularly the Shar, which of course as Ruach Chaim is living, the Mave, which is living, is not Kaharei Eish, like a fire, shein by Ruach Chaim. So the Mishnah doing a classical Mishnayis type style, contrasting the different entities in the Mishnah, that the Shar and the Maveh, which are living, are not the same as an Eish, which is not living. Continues the Mishnah, and this and that, which is not the derech to do damage, which is the derech to do damage. And Rashi says over here, Zelazeh is really referring to three entities: the shar, the mave, and the hever. The ox, the person, and the fire is not the same as karei abar, like the pit, she'ein darkon leilech ulahazik. So we've already learned a lot about these four principal damagers. We've learned that the shar and the mave are living. In contrast, the bar and the hever are not living. We learned the shar, the mave, and the hever is the derech. It is normal. It is the way to damage, versus the bar, which is not. And after contrasting the four, says the Mishnah, Hatzara Shava Shabam, what is the common denominator? She'edarkon lahazik, that at some level all four entities in the Mishnah are the derech to do damage. Ushmirasan alecha, and one is obligated to watch them. Ukishehizik, and if they were to damage, when they damage, Chav hamazik, the mazik being the damager, is obligated l'shalif tashlumei nezek b'meitav haaretz. The common denominator being that the payment has to be b'meitav ha'aretz. Meitav literally being the choicest of the aretz. Of course, every detail will be discussed in the Gemara. Meitav ha'aretz, Rashi gives us a little bit of a glimpse. It's going to be me'idius nechasav yagbia demei hezekai. From the choicest of lands, you're going to have to pay the value of the damage. If you want to pay from land. So we have a Mishnah, Arba Avos Nezikin, Sharbar Ma Vehever, the differences between them and the common denominator. Begins the Gemara wanting to know this word Avos, this word fathers, primary damagers, says the Gemara Mediktani Avos, from the fact that the Mishnah taught us that there's Arba Avos Nezikin, that clearly implies Michlal Dika Toldos. If there are Avos, we can infer that there are Toldos, that there are subsidiaries, that there are offshoots, that there are subcategories. Asks the Gemara, these Toldos, whatever they are, and we're going to figure that out, Toldos Seyen Kayotze Behen, Oilav Kayotze Behen. The subcategory. We have 4 principal damagers, and then we're going to have subcategories of those principal damagers. Says the Gemara, are those subcategories kiyotze oilav kayotze behem, similar or not? Before answering this question, says the Gemara, some other times that we find similar avos, toldos, primary, secondary items. Gabi Shabbos Tanan. With regard to Shabbos, we learned Avos Melachos, the primary Melachos that are forbidden on Shabbos are Boim Chaser Achas, 40 minus 139. Avos, from the fact that it says that they're primary Mechaldik Toldos, says the Gemara in Shabbos. Toldos say, and with regard to Shabbos, the same question. Kayotze Behen. With regard to Shabbos, the Toldos, the subcategories are Kayotze Behem. In what regard? Explains the Gemara. Loishna av chatos, loishna tolda chatos. Both the av and the tolda, if one violates Shabbos, whether in the primary, whether in the secondary violation, the obligation is a chatos daraisa. Loishna av skila, loishna tolda skila. Whether one is violating the av or the tolda, the punishment is skila, the harshest and the more severe form of all death penalties. So says the Gemara with regard to Shabbos, if the toldos and the avos are one and the same, what's the difference? If both of them give you a chatas, if both of them give skila, why are there any categories? Generally you have categories because there's differences between the two. Says the Gemara nafkamina, you know what the difference is? If someone transgressed 2 avos simultaneously, inami on the last narrow line, she told us he violated 2 toldos at the same time. What is the halacha from the fact that they are separate avos, separate toldos? Mechayiv akol chad v'chad, he's obligated for each and every one. However, on the first white line, vilu avid av v'tolda di day. And that's why we need to know what is what. If you violate an av and it's tolda, then loy mechayev el achad, you're only obligated once, as they both are considered within the same category. Rashi points out, what are you mechayev on the av, but on the tolda you are not mechayev. Says the Gemara, very good. So with regard to Shabbos, we understand the difference between the av and the tolda. But says the Gemara, 1 second. But what about the opinion of Rav Eliezer on the second wide line, who holds the Mechayev Tolda b'makom av? Rav Eliezer holds that you are indeed obligated. If one does a Tolda and it's av, you're not only Chayev once. Rav Eliezer argues, and Rav Eliezer says you're Chayev 2 times. Rashi gives us the source, Krisus. According to Rav Eliezer, my karle av, my karle Tolda. What is the reason it's called an av? What is the reason it's called a tolda? Explains the Gemara again. We just took a left turn. We started Bava Kama. We started Nezikin. And before we know, we're back in Moed. We're back in Shabbos. Explains the Gemara, Shabbos. Oh, he's told us they're all the same. What's the difference? First answer, Avin, it's told you're chayiv once. What about Rav Eliezer that says that's not true? Says the Gemara, you know why? Second to last line of Beis and Aleph, Hach tahava b'mishkan chashiva. That which is done in the Mishka has a chashivas, has an importance, and therefore it's a name game. Kari le'av, it has the name of an av. Hach deloyave b'mishkan chashiva. Kari le tolda. That which is not done in the Mishkan does not have the same level of significance, or hachtavi b'mishkan chashiva, that which is not considered chashiv in the Mishkan, is called a tolda. So in result, according to Rav Eliezer, what's the difference? Nothing. It's a word game. Continues the Gemara. Last line of Beidam Al is another time that we find avos and toldos. Gabay tumois tanan. Avos at tumois. What are the primary levels of Tumah? Hasharetz. The sharetz, the creepy crawler, the semen of a man. As we move over to Beis Amid Beis, continuing the category of Avois HaTumah, says the Gemara, Tamei Meis. And then number 3 is Tamei Meis, the third level of Avois, the third type, of Avois HaTumah. Says the Gemara, with regard to Tumah, Toldoiseihem lav kayetze behem. The Toldois of Tumah are not the same as the Avois. Why? Di'ilu avad Tumah. When it comes to the Avois HaTumah, what is the din? Explains the Gemara. By the Avois HaTumah, Adam v'keil, Di'ilu av. Regarding an av, mitame Adam v'keilim, it gives off its Tumah to both people and vessels. Whereas Vilu Tolda, it's regards to Tolda is that Tumah. Oichlenu mashkin mitame. A Tolda can give off Tumah to both food and drinks, but Adam vekelim loy mitame. It cannot give off with regard to Adam and Kelim. So says the Gemara, by Shabbos, Avos and Toldos are one and the same. Either the difference being whether you're obligated twice or once, if you did an av and it's tolda, or the difference being a name game, if it's called an av, that which is chashav or not. With regard to Tumah, we find the opposite. The toldas are not like the avos. There's different dinim. The av is metame adam v'kelim. The tolda is only metame eichlenu mashkin. So says the Gemara. Now we circle back around to Baba Kama, the fourth line of Beis Amid Beis. Hachamai. What's the din with regard to avos? Nezikin. Hacha told us the Nezikin, as Rashi spells out, Mai. Do we say that the Toldos are similar and there's no difference? I have no difference to the Tolda, that both of them have to pay, or maybe not? This explains the Gemara. Amar up on the fourth line. Yesh mehen kayotze behen, v'yesh mehen lav kayotze behen. After a long and lengthy segue into figuring out what were the Toldos, says the Gemara, there's yesh v'yesh. Says Rabba, some are the same and some are not the same. Tanu Rabbanan. So now says the Gemara, let's figure out what are the avos, what are the toldos. Tanu Rabbanan gimel avos nemru b'shar. And now there are 3 avos said by the shar, which everyone's wondering, wait, the Mishnah said there are arba avos tezikin. One of those 4 was hashar. But now says the Gemara, not just the shar is an av. There's 3 entities that are considered avos listed in the Torah with regard to the shar. What 3? Keren, Shein, and Regel. Literally being, Keren being the horn, the Shein being the tooth, the Regel being the foot. 3 ways an ox could damage with its horn, with its teeth, with its feet. Karen minalan. Where do we see Karen is obligated, is responsible if an ox does damage with his horn? Te'etanu Rabbanan, it says in the Torah, ki yigach, when an animal gores, and a negicha lebekaren shenamar, as the pasuk says, v'yaslo sitkio ben Kenana karne barzel. That Sitkio ben Kenana made karne barzel, horns of iron, v'yayimer. And he said, Koyamar Hashem, so says Hashem, Be'ele, with these tinagach asaram. Excuse me. We're going to be goring, literally, we're going to fight Aram. So we see that it was with the Shah, with the Keren, that Sidkiyahu, yes, says they're going to gore Aram. We see that the word Keren is utilized as gored V'goimer. V'oimer, a second source. Says the pasuk, B'char sharai hadar loi v'karnei reim. Karnov, says the pasuk, Bechar Sharai, the firstborn ox, Hadar Loi, the majesty is his. The Karnei Reim, and the horns of that ox are Karnov, or his horns, Bahem, with them, Amim Yinagach. Obviously, the word Yinagach, so we're looking for that we see that the horn again is used to do the goring. Says the Gemara, Mai Vaimer. Why do you need two psukim? The first pasuk was perfect. We learned that from Sidkiyo. Why do we need a second pasuk? Explains the Gemara. Because v'chi tema, maybe you'll suggest if we only had the pasuk of Sidkiyo, you know what you would suggest? Divrei Torah mi divrei Kabbalah lo yalfi. None. We can't learn out Dinei D'Oraisa from Divrei Kabbalah, from Nach, from Psukim in Melachim. Therefore, Tashem Abachar Sharai Hadar Lai. Therefore, we need the second pasuk. Says the Gemara, V'hai milafu? Meaning, I understand if this was a makar, if this was the source to the halacha that an ox that gored is obligated to pay. But says the Gemara, this isn't really the source. What is it? Gilui milsa ba'almahu. This is just revealing to us. It's a dictionary. It's Webster's. Now what? It's telling us din negicha, that the word negicha is bikarenu. So says the Gemara, if that's all that it is, then there's no reason we shouldn't be able to use the pasuk in Malachim, to use Divrei Kabbalah, to use Nach to teach us definitions. Elos, you know we need a second pasuk for new teretz. Ma'udatem, I would have thought, Ki Bali Rachmana, when does the Torah differentiate between Tam Limuad? When does the Torah differentiate between an animal which is a tam, an animal which is not normal to gore, a more calm animal? These are going to be big discussions. What's a tam? What's a muad? Lemuad, an animal that's accustomed to doing damage. I would have thought maybe hani mili bitulusha. Maybe it's only with talush, that which is not connected. As the pasuk by Sidkiyo was referring to, he fashioned the horns of iron, karnei barzel. So maybe only when it's talush, only when the horns are now real ox horns, not really the ox itself goring, that's when we find differentiations. Avol b'mechubares, but maybe the ox itself, when it's attached, imakula mayadesi, maybe whenever the ox damages automatically right away, it's considered a muad, it's considered normal to do damage. To that, we have a second pasuk of Tashema, Bechar Sharai Hadar Lai V'Goimer. And that proves that the first Av of Shar is Keren. So now that we know that there's Shar, together with Shar is an Av of Keren, says the Gemara. Let's go one step down. Tolda the Keren, Mahi. So what is the Tolda? What is the subcategory? What is the child, the offspring of Keren? Explains the Gemara about 15 lines into Beis and Beis. The first one in line is a Negifa. Says the Gemara, you know what the Toldas of Keren are? Negifa, pushing, Nishicha, biting, Revitza, squatting, Ubeita, and kicking. 4 ways an animal can damage. It could push, it could bite, it could squat and sit in an animal, or Beita, it could kick. Says the Gemara, Ma'ishana Negicha, the Karle Av. Says, I don't understand. Goring is called an Av. Why? It's a pasuk. So that which is a pasuk is an Av. Nigifa, when an animal pushes and the animal damages. Nami asked the Gemara, says that a pasuk says when the animal should push, so it should also be considered an Av. Explains the Gemara, Hai Nigifa Nigicha. When the pasuk says ki yi goif, it doesn't really mean push. It means negicha means gore. Titania, as we learned in our brayso, pasuk b'negifa v'sayim b'negicha. The pasuk begins with negifa, ends with negicha. Leimer lecha, coming to teach us that what zuhi gu negifa, zuhi negicha, that it's really all one and the same. So that's why negifa, pushing, is not an av, because when the Torah says ki goif, it's referring to goring. Asks the Gemara, Maishna Gabe Adam, Tersev Ki Yigach. Why is it? So now, if both of these words, Nigicha, Nigifa, they're both referring to goring, ask the Gemara, I don't understand. Why, when it comes to an ox that attacks and gores a person, it says Ki Yigach. When an ox damages another animal, the pasuk says ki yigoif. Why does the wording change? Very good. You prove to me that when the Torah says nigifa, it really means goring. But why? Why are there two words and utilize one to gore an animal, one to gore a human? What is the difference? Explains the Gemara. I'll tell you why. Adam de isli mazala. A person has a mazel. Therefore, ksiv ki yigach. Mazel ksev ki yigoif. It says yigoif. Yigoif being more spontaneous than ki yigach being more direct. And what does this teach us? What does the wordage teach us? That what? Excuse me, not the wordage. The halacha teaches us agavurche on the side. Adam However, if an animal is prone to damage a person, that means it was more violent. That means it was done even with more direct, more mindset, whatever that means of the animal. And therefore, it will also have the din of a mu'id, the din of a direct damage, or the din of kavana lahazik, the din of damager to a behemoth, opposite. If an animal damages another animal, that's more non-direct, not premeditated, therefore will not have the same status of mu'ad with regard to a person. And we're going to continue. Says the Gemara, what were the other subcategories, other toldos of Keren that we discussed? Nishicha, Tolda, Disheni. Says the Gemara, Nishicha, biting. You're telling me biting is a subcategory of what? Of Keren, of horn. Why? Biting should be a subcategory of your teeth. That's how you bite. Says the Gemara, no. Look, Shane, and now we start to learn a little bit deeper of what type of these damagers are. Meaning, and this is very important just to realize, when we say shar, it's not only an ox. A shar just means an animal, as we're going to see, which is normal to damage. So any animal normal to damage will fit into that category. As we're seeing right now, what does Shane mean? Says the Gemara, you know what tooth means? Yesh hana lehezeka. It gets benefit. It eats something. So when an animal damages via a mode of eating or mode of something that it gets benefit from, it will be labeled as shane, regardless if it's utilizing the tooth. Whereas when the animal does a nishicha is different. Nishicha is done, it just bites something, but it's not actually eating it, doesn't get the same hana. And finally, Ravitza, squatting, ubiita, and kicking, told her deregally. Asked the Gemara, why are those toldos of Keren, of the horn, kicking and squatting are done with the lower half of the body? So they should seemingly be a tolda of regel, of the foot. Says the Gemara, no, teaching us a little bit deeper what regel is. Look, regel has zeka matzoi. When an animal damages with his foot, it's common. Honey, when it comes to squatting and kicking, they're not common. So finally, we go full circle to wrap up the Daf Beis. Ela told us saying, Lav kayotze bohen. After explaining what some of the avos are, after explaining a bit deeper some of the toldos, the Gemara concludes with regard to Keren in particular, we're talking, but in general, toldos of the avos are not similar. Ahai. On what was Rav Papa referring to? Remember, Rav Papa said, yesh v'yesh. Some of the toldos are the same, some of the toldos are not the same. So says the Gemara, on what case was he talking about? If he was talking about the ones that we just spoke about, which is what? The subcategories, the toldos of Keren. Maishna Keren de kavanasei lahazik. Maincha ushmirasei alecha. Keren, the horn, has intent to damage. It's your money, it's your possession, and you have obligation to watch it. Hani nami. These entities also of Keren are as well. Kavanasei lahazik umancha shmirasei alecha. Ella told us they Keren ki Keren. Now we conclude part A the tolda of a Karen is indeed like a Karen. And when Rababa said the Tolsein are not the same, is on Shein Varegel. We're going to stop over here. And this last little piece of Gemara, whether Toldais are Kiyotze, Lav Kiyotze. How when it comes to Karen, we're seeing Rababa obviously holds their Kiyotze. We'll review and when we begin the next year, and then we'll pick it up with Shein and Regel.